a big loser. That's what the state-owned Zimbabwean Broadcasting Corporation in its headlines today has called the World Health Organization. This is after revoking the appointment of President Robert Mugabe as the Goodwill Ambassador. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Walter Mzembe, is quoted as saying that the organization has benefited tremendously from appointing Mr. Mugabe to lead the fight against non-communicable diseases, but it was wise to let go because of the widespread condemnation, which he tagged as inordinate noise. The organization stripped President Mugabe of the position just after 5 days of appointing him. Critics had urged the organization to overturn the appointment, criticizing the president for destroying his country's economy and for numerous human rights abuses during his 37 years as a leader. Egypt's government, they have disputed reports that more than 50 policemen were killed in a shootout with militants in the Western Desert on Friday. The Interior Ministry says only 16 policemen died when they were ambushed during a mission in the Bahariya Oasis. While no group has admitted to the attack, but hundreds of police and soldiers have been killed by jihadist militants affiliated to ISIS since 2013. The ensuing shootout lasted several hours and left 11 officers, 4 conscripts and 1 sergeant dead. Another 4 officers and 9 conscripts were injured, while 1 officer is reportedly missing. Well, the VOA's Edward Yeranian is in Cairo, from where he joins us right now. Edward, welcome. Why is there so much disputed reports over the death toll?
Well, the Egyptian government is undoubtedly embarrassed about the attack. If the casualty figures were as large as they say they were, I've been watching these sorts of attacks and other terrorist events, if you want to call them that, over the past few years. And I'd say that Western intelligence services are often the sources of these stories and the numbers, and they put out the information, and then the Egyptian government tries to backtrack on them. But of course, the intelligence agencies often put out red herrings and things that are not true. I've seen that multiple times in Syria, so you can't always count on what the intelligence agencies are putting out either. So really, we don't have an idea how many people were killed, and no one actually saw it, at least no one I know of. And the government is putting out its story, and the media organizations, which usually get information from intelligence agencies in the West, are putting out their stories. So never the twain shall meet.
How many policemen were sent out to the Bahariya Oasis for the raid in the first place?
Apparently, from the sources here in Egypt, what we're hearing is that this is an area that they suspected for a long time of having a terrorist lair or hideout, and they sent in multiple units. It's not clear how many. No one has come up with an exact figure. And there has been a history of infiltration from Libya. The Libyan border is very, very long. It's not especially well guarded, and you have countries which are supporting these terrorists, which have been giving them arms. The Egyptian media, Gulf media have been accusing Qatar and Turkey over the years, recent years, of doing that. I've heard that from multiple sources. I've heard it from multiple sources in multiple countries, and I believe it's true. And at the moment, there's a standoff between Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, and Qatar over this very subject. So I think there is a war going on between a number of countries, and it's not really a terrorist issue as much as it's a country issue.
But Edward, some people are really asking, why send the police? Why not the military to an operation like this? Does the government agree there could have been better intelligence preceding the attack?
You know, if you've got countries giving intelligence to people, you can't really battle that. I mean, I've seen incidents in Syria where some malicious country has given satellite information, satellite photos to terrorists to attack government installations. When you've got countries doing that, I mean, in Syria, we have reports that 10 intelligence agencies were present in the north of Syria, and that's Syria. Of course, here in Libya you probably have 4 or 5, which are hostile to Egypt. So it's difficult to battle a war on those terms, and I think that's what it is.
All right, I was just going to ask the very final question, and that is, how safe is Egypt at the moment? Briefly, if you can.
Personally, I feel no danger. Cairo is very safe. You have more of a chance of getting run over by a vehicle in the street than you do of getting blown up by a terrorist. I think, once again, you have malicious countries that are putting out information that it's not safe to go to Cairo because they want to affect the economy and the tourist sector. And we've seen that multiple times over and over again. And while I don't want to defend the Egyptian government up and down the line, I'd say that they're getting a bum rap on quite a few counts.
Thank you so much. We've been speaking to Edward Yeranian, VOA's correspondent all the way from Cairo. Thank you. The Moroccan government says the textile industry is witnessing revival after losing tens of thousands of jobs due to low-cost imports. The industry took a massive hit after the multi-fiber agreement was dismantled in 2004.
The industrial zone in Saleh, near the Moroccan capital Rabat, looks like a ghost neighborhood. 20 years ago, it had 75 factories employing more than 30,000 workers, mainly women. Today, it's home to a handful of factories with a working force of less than 5,000 employees. Most of the old factories are now abandoned or are used as warehouses. The industry took a massive hit after the multi-fiber agreement that the MFA was dismantled in 2004. The agreement imposed quotas on developing nations' textile and garment exports to rich nations. When it expired, low-cost imports flooded the market and posed a challenge for Moroccan textiles. These factories are facing serious crisis and have no choice but to close down. They are obliged to make their workers redundant. Who are they competing with? They are competing in the domestic market that's more than twice the size of the export market. The domestic market is flooded with illegal imports and is dominated by importers who benefit from the support of their countries. The chairman of the Moroccan Association of Carpet Producers and Exporters, Mohamed Saïri, also says imitations from Asia are posing a threat to the industry. Despite the challenges, the textile sector remains one of the pillars of the Moroccan industry. According to the official statistics, it employs more than 170,000 workers, or a quarter of the industrial employment. Its 2016 turnover of 34.2 billion dinars made up 22% of the industrial exports. The sector is also the 4th largest employer. And there are already signs of revival. Textile exports rose by 9% in 2015. The Industry, Trade, Investment and Digital Economy Ministry expects further growth this year. The government launched a 10-year plan in 2015 to create 100,000 new permanent jobs and triple the current export revenues to $9 billion. Officials say the plan is already showing results, with 44,000 jobs already created.
Well, that's Network Africa at this time. Many thanks for watching. I'm Millicent Walker.